Everyone is joining us. We're going to have a great hour conversation. So here we go. You're going to hear from me. You're going to hear from Howard Robbins and Tammy. Unfortunately, the audio is the video is not working for them, but this is the best we can do. Okay. Um, okay. Let me just get my thing queued up and let's get the show on the road. Recording is going, Howard.
Recording is going. It's flashing, so I know that it's happening.
Okay. Hello, everyone. We are live. Welcome to A Better Way, a sustainable approach to wellness. Today, we are discussing 3 simple out-of-the-box solutions to maximize your health. I am Dr. Reed Winnick from Dentistry for Health New York. I am joined today with Tammy Kohlschmidt from Thermography for Health New York and Dr. Howard Robbins from the Healing Center in New York City.
We want to acknowledge and congratulate all of you from the bottom of our hearts for caring enough about your personal health. We do recognize that your time is precious, and we also want you to know that you all are the disruptors to mainstream medicine.
Like us, your goal is to make a difference for yourselves, your family, and your community. We want to acknowledge your greatness. Obviously, nothing happens without you being present and listening to these educational webinars. Do you want to feel healthier? Well, then you came to the right place. So for the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to cover 3 important concepts for getting and staying healthy during this troubled time. At the end of the webinar, we're going to answer all your questions, and we'll have special gifts simply because you are here.
You all received an email when you registered, and in that email, we listed the following questions. What does being healthy mean to you? What steps are you taking to get there? How great would it be if you achieved this health? And how would it feel if you were unable to get to this point? The reason we gave you these questions is because we've used these to motivate ourselves to take action, and also to give us awareness into what's important to us. So if you go back and reflect on these can help you navigate your health priorities.
You know, I would say that, and I'm speaking for all 3 of us, I think we all know what it is to be sick and how to heal ourselves. And my journey started a long time ago as a child. I was constipated, and I would probably go to the bathroom maybe once or twice a week. And I always had constant stomach pains. And I remember back then that the solution the doctors gave me was to drink this really thick white stuff to help me with my stomach pains and to go to the bathroom. And I just know I was so young at that time. I was probably around 6 years old, because I remember my brother coming into the bathroom where I was taking the medicine, through my mouth. And he said, "Reed, take your medicine quickly, and then let's just go outside so I can continue to help you ride your bicycle." And as I grew up, the doctors really didn't know what was wrong with me until one day I was rushed to the hospital with severe stomach pains. And they took out my healthy appendix and finally diagnosed me with Crohn's disease. And for many years, I was on daily antibiotics and other drugs, and I was being told that they could not cure me, just palliate the pain until when I get older, I would need surgery to deal with the infection. So as the years passed, and being near death and failing at 128 pounds, I realized I was being treated like a broken machine with body parts being removed. It started with 11 inches of my small intestine being resected, and then multiple rectal surgeries that didn't work. And their next solution was another rectal surgery, which would have left me wearing a diaper for the rest of my adult life. Luckily, or by accident, I met a holistic doctor who pushed on my arm and told me I had a gluten allergy and I should avoid all forms of gluten. And within 5 days, all my pain, all my drainage, all my night sweats just went away. And I saw I had hope that finally I could be living a normal life. But at that point, I'm then forced to make this life-changing decision. And the question I had was, do I stay with the traditional medicine model with all their research and empty promises that I have known all my life, being treated as a failing, broken down machine, with my body parts being discarded year after year? Um, or do I trust a total stranger whose diagnostic testing was so non-traditional? I mean, she pushed on my arm, but it was effective for me. And I saw, and for the first time, there was a person that saw me as a whole organism. That if given the right ingredients, I could heal innately and thrive. Well, luckily, I chose correctly. And presently, I'm now free of Crohn's disease for over 25 years.
You know, Dr. Winnick, I just want to comment on that because I've known you a long time. And I can say, even though you have this, you know, horrific health history, you've never been a victim to it. And I want to congratulate you for that. That's what it's all about. You know, you have your story, but it doesn't mean you continue to live in it. You move beyond it.
Right. Well, I felt that, I don't have any hard feelings against these past doctors. They're doing the best they can, the best they know how. And it was, for me, I came out of it with a learning experience, so I can then now help my patients and my family and teach them, what's important.
Right.
Tammy also has a very good way of rising above her illness. And when I first met her, she was very sick, and I had no idea. So Tammy, why don't you tell us your story?
Yes. So I have a really strong spirit. It's a warrior spirit. So you'll never know when I'm ailing. I have a way of rising above it. But my story literally started at birth. I had debilitating asthma several times. I've had pneumonia, bronchial infections from birth to about age 20. And I don't think there was a month of my life in that time that I wasn't on an antibiotic or a steroid. I mean, it was constant trips to the hospital almost weekly to get injections so that I could breathe. Because in the 70s, there were no rescue inhalers. So I remember very clearly around age 3, I remember not being able to breathe and realizing that if I kind of pulled myself up out of my body, I could develop this energetic connection to life force. And that's actually when I started to understand meditation. I literally was around 3, and I have such a clear memory of, well, if I just do this, I can breathe until I can get to the hospital. So this was like on and on, and then around age 20, I realized that, mainstream medicine saved my life, but I knew it wasn't sustainable. So I started to just dive into all types of holistic natural healings that I could. I mean, I studied everything from Ayurvedic medicine to Chinese medicine to astrology to crystals, nutrition, obviously, herbs, homeopathy. And I realized through all of that if I didn't have a strong sense of belief, trust, and faith, that none of that was going to really help me anyway. So I learned that healing is physical, it's mental, it's emotional, and it's spiritual.
Well, I can say, knowing you, Tammy, for I don't know how many years, I would definitely say that you're definitely a warrior when it comes to your health, and also being a stand for your patients and your family, which I think is very, very commendable. So Howard, how did you get started in natural healthcare, and how did you get started using ozone as a therapy?
Okay, well, first of all, let me start by saying thank you, everybody, for spending the time with us today. I promise you, by the time this is over, you won't be sorry. That's for certain. And thank you, Dr. Winnick, for putting this on. Reed, it's a very important thing that people get this kind of information and they can then share it with their friends and tune in later, so to speak, when this is posted so they can learn more. But here's, I don't believe anything happens by chance or accident ever. I believe, and if whether you're not terribly religious, call it the power of the universe, but I believe that God makes everything happen for a reason and a purpose, even if we don't see it at that moment in time. And back in 1977, no way by accident or chance, I met up with Gary Null, who was, for those of you that don't know, at the time and for many, many, many years, one of the reigning natural health gurus here in the New York area and possibly even the country. And I started learning about natural health, getting away from traditional care where I was just teaching surgery into natural medicine. And with his support and with the patients coming in wanting to be treated in a more natural way, I started to do similar kinds of things that Tammy is talking about and learning about all sorts of other things. But something was telling me I can't be an expert at everything. I'd rather work as a team. I can't be what I am and be a dentist and a naturopath and a homeopath and everything else all at the same time. It can take almost a lifetime of work and study to become that level of expert that people need and want. So I've always believed in a work strategy. Then with that in mind, in 1989, I met up with one of my other mentors, Dr. Robert Atkins, from the Atkins Diet, the Atkins Center.
Right.
I went to visit him in November of '89, and he says, "Robbins, you got to start using ozone therapy. I've started using it. It's really great." New York State decided they shouldn't let him use it in 1990 when I began using it in January. They suspended his license. He actually won it back after a 3-year court battle, and thus he won the right for all of us legally to use ozone therapy here in New York State. And from 1990 to 1995, we also focused a lot on intravenous vitamin C, but then I got very focused on ozone because I started to see all its medical benefits. And I think what might be another major turning point for me was when the president of Sierra Leone in West Africa, in the height of the Ebola epidemic in 2014, invited my buddy and blood brother, Dr. Robert Rowan from Santa Rosa, California, and I to come to Sierra Leone and train doctors in how to do intravenous ozone therapy. It was successful. We had a lot of trouble with Big Pharma, apparently, behind the scenes, trying to suppress this through the World Health Organization. But we were able to publish in the African Journal of Infectious Disease in August of 2016, the results on treating 5 doctors out of 5 successfully, which in a disease that kills 60% of the people that get it, this was pretty amazing, and the results were incontestable that ozone therapy was effective against the Ebola virus. And as you'll learn in a little while, why it's going to be effective against COVID-19, the coronavirus, because there are very strong similarities. And that's what's moved me to be what I am at the age of 72. I don't believe in retirement. I have a greater calling that we can discuss later on.
Excellent. So your passion for what you do is so apparent, and I commend you for being a stand and really, it's almost like a struggle that we go through to bring these holistic or functional or out of the box treatments to our patients. And a lot of people would just say, and just give up, but you didn't. You continued, which I give you a lot of credit for. So, I want to stay in integrity with the time of the seminar. I know that we were supposed to be done at about 10 o'clock, and I want to continue with that. And I know that you have a meeting to go to a little bit after that. So I have a whole bunch of questions. I want you to go through them as best as you can so that we can get through this entire webinar, okay? First, can you give a brief description of what is ozone?
Okay. So I'm gonna just do this all in a very short time because I don't want to run out of time, and I can stay later if you want to let this, because we started late, go a little bit longer. So first,
Excellent.
ozone is a gas; it's not a liquid. And for the last 3/4 of a century in the modern ozone era, we're able to put this gas directly into your body or into blood and then back into your body. Ozone therapy has been used, as I say, around the world for 3/4 of a century to treat and effectively eliminate the widest range of diseases and conditions that you can imagine. And it suffers from something called the tomato effect, which basically says when something sounds too good to be true, it almost must be too good to be true, but it isn't. This is the exception to that rule because it is able to eliminate permanently, completely, and or cure a wide variety of diseases and conditions from virtually every virus, fungus, yeast, mold, bacteria, parasite, toxin, and harmful free radical. I've been doing this now since 1990, as I indicated before. We've done over 350,000 intravenous ozone therapies now at our office in the city. We've trained hundreds of doctors from around the country and the world, have an international practice, and I lecture around the world. And we've seen diseases and conditions that include things not just Ebola, which we never really treated in our office, thank God, but we've seen things like multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, Lyme disease, Crohn's disease, irritable bowel, chronic fatigue syndrome, herpes, HSV 1 and 2, human papillomavirus, HPV, measles, shingles, chickenpox, shingles, all these and some many different ocular problems really be affected very, very significantly in either complete elimination, everybody gets improved, but either complete elimination or when we can prove it legally, we can use the word cured of all these different diseases and conditions. And we've seen this happen, not just in our office, but in offices all around the world. And it's just a shame that we're having such a hard time getting the coronavirus into the hospitals here, but we're working on it.
You mean getting ozone into the hospitals to treat the coronavirus?
Clinical trial, we're getting closer. We're working with Dr. Mark Hyman to try to get this to the Commissioner of Health here in New York State and to, he's the head of functional medicine at the Cleveland Clinic.
Right.
We're trying to get it now into the Cleveland Clinic as well as into California, where they're also suffering, as he knows the commissioner's health of both those states very closely. If you look up Mark Hyman, you'll know who he is. He's pretty famous also.
Right. Dr. Robbins, is there a lot of preparation that a patient needs to do before they have an ozone treatment?
Well, once they become a patient, it's not always necessary on the first treatment. We have the patients do 3 things, very important things. I always try to keep everything super simple, KISS. I don't like to have patients because they usually come to us as a last resort, financially strapped and whatnot. Half of them are on disability. So we've kept things as simple as possible. The first thing is they have to be well hydrated. You can't have a functional immune system or be healthy if you're in a state of dehydration, which most Americans walk around in. So you need to drink at least 3 to 4 liters of water a day. In US measurement, that's close 3 quarts to 4 quarts, a gallon of water a day. And most people don't do that. You all know who you are and what you don't do. So you're walking around in a dehydrated state, even though you're supposed to be 60 to 70% water. And thus, you can't have a functional immune system or a healthy body. Remember, the key is to grow old and be well, not just to grow old and be infirmed. The second thing everyone has to do, and when I lecture to doctors on this, their heads are nodding up and down all the time. They're in agreement. They're just not telling their patients to do it. Well, some are, but many don't, because it's too simple and they're not thinking about it. So the second thing is vitamin C, which is not just a vitamin, but a coenzyme. It's necessary in every cell of your body for virtually every healthy cellular reaction. So we have our patients taking vitamin C, and every listener to this and participant can do it too, 5 or 6 times a day. Well, why not just take one big dose? Because even if you've taken a quality vitamin C and absorbed most of it, your body can only utilize so much at a time, and you'll urinate the rest away. So we want our patients having vitamin C floating in their body constantly, and we have them take it 5 to 6 times a day. That's every 2 hours while they're awake approximately, stopping a couple hours before bedtime because you need your sleep, and you don't want to be waking up because you drank this and ate this just at bedtime. So as much as you can, by the way, they always ask how much. It varies from person to person how much you can tolerate based on the kind of vitamin C you're taking, whether it's liposomal or buffered powders or whatever. So you take as much as you can each dose without causing an upset stomach. Start with a small amount and build up and see how you do. And then the last, and this is possibly the most important thing to communicate, is that everybody listening to this seminar has had an antibiotic even once in your lifetime. Or you take, you've eaten red meat or chicken that isn't organic or kosher, so that you're getting uncooked out doses of antibiotics all the time, and now even in some farm-raised fish, which kills all the good boys off in the wall of the gut of your intestine. By doing that, yeast, a candida, which is a natural inhabitant and we need it, will overgrow. So why does this matter? Because the second, or maybe one of the primary lines of defense against keeping yeast in balance is a part of your immune system called the T cell system. The T cell system fights not only yeast, but it fights the viral infections. And this is why we're seeing young people die from this COVID-19 infection, where they normally should have been in the 50% group that would survive or not even know they got it. It's because we have no good biome left in our gut. And because of that, the T cell system is on overdrive, working daily to keep it in balance so that you don't notice you have symptoms. The natural answer would then be, well, we need to take probiotics. That's where we fall short again, as we found out. And the doctors' heads are nodding up and down when I tell them this, in agreement, because capsule, powder, and tablet probiotics, what makes up almost everything on the market, are made up of bacteria that are asleep in suspended animation. Now, when you swallow them with water in your stomach, the stomach acids destroy 90+% of these most of the time, in almost every case, even if the right bacteria were chosen, the right strains that do survive and get into your gut. The transit time is so fast, very little has a chance to grow into adult strong bacteria. And then whether or not they'll help populate the wall again became an issue. We've worked with several different probiotics over the years. We found that kombucha, which is a living product, fortunately has too much alcohol and sugar, which doesn't work for a lot of people, including my patients and me. So we found and finally helped develop a product called Doctor's Biome, DOCTORS BIOME, available at doctorsbiome.com. Now, this is important because it's a first of its kind probiotic drink. When you read about it online, you'll learn more about it. We don't have time to talk about it today, except say these are next generation smart bacteria, actually bacteria that have been made to survive the stomach over 90%, populate the wall of your gut, change their genetic expression so that they change and work with your genes to live happily there, getting yeast in balance. This will boost your immune system, and by doing that, you can fight any viral infection as well much more effectively. So those are the three things that all the patients have to do.
Thank you, Dr. Robbins. That was great. And
Can
I
I say
think,
something more?
yeah,
First,
sure.
you're not a dentist. I know you called yourself that earlier, and I wanted to correct that. You happen to be special. You're a physician who specializes in diseases and conditions of the mouth, specifically the odonta, the teeth, and treating the diseases and conditions of the mouth the way you do it with ozone therapy and all the other natural approaches that you take. And that's why they call it biological dentistry or natural dentistry. Makes it special when they come to your clinic and office, which is why I work with you. I think it's important that all the people listening realize that all dentistry is not created equal. And you have people that are dentists, and then you have people like you who are physicians who can treat diseases and conditions of the mouth, which affects the entire body. And I think you should talk about that, because if you have dental caries or gingivitis or an infection somewhere in your teeth, it's going to affect through your energy systems, your meridian systems, and cause back pain and all sorts of other heart problems, all sorts of problems throughout the body.
Well, thank you, Howard. And for sure, I'll go over what we do in the dental practice, and then we'll hear from Tammy. But I just want to just acknowledge you again for taking a stand for so many years, and with your commitment to ozone therapy, which really doesn't fit into the standard medical model. You know, truth be told, you are really near and dear to my heart because of the care you gave to my son, Skylar, about, I think it was 2 or 3 summers ago. He came down with mono, of which we never found out how he got. But anyhow, he came down with mono, and he was so sick for so long. And we have excellent pediatricians here in the city, and there are so many different remedies we have, we can get a hold of, and he wasn't responding. And he had so much, he had a high fever, and it just wouldn't break. And we decided to take him to you for what you call intravenous ozone injections, which is one of the methods you've developed. And I would say in 2 days, his fever broke. And then we spent the rest of the summer rebuilding him because he had lost 30 pounds. So I don't know if I've ever personally thanked you, but I want to thank you, you know, for really taking care of my family. So in regard to how we use ozone in the dental office, we use ozone all the time while treating our patients, from eliminating teeth sensitivity when placing fillings to treating gum infections, and we also use it to fumigate the canals of teeth during root canals. Believe it or not, there are some holistic people who want root canals, and the key to these patients is to make sure you can sterilize the canals as well as possible. And we use ozone plus other modalities to accomplish that. I personally believe we are all whole organisms that came from this earth. Therefore, I believe our bodies follow the same healing laws that govern nature. The same way a tree needs good water and fertilizer, we need the same thing, right? And if a tree gets an infection, we call in the tree doctor to fumigate the tree. Well, that's how we use ozone in dentistry.
Dr. Winnick, I mean, having worked with you so many years, can you also, I mean, I want people to know that you also follow the standard protocols of a dentist.
Sure. Well, I follow all the basic rules that govern dentistry that I learned when I was in dental school. But then, you know, everything I've learned to date is really hasn't been in dental school. But what we do that kind of separates us from the traditional dental model is we follow a functional medical model. So what that means is first we must identify what's causing the problem. Then we address it appropriately. We must first ask, is the problem microbial or nutritional? Therefore, we take samples of microbes from the mouth, and within minutes, not days or hours, we can make a proper evaluation for an infection. And if these microbes are present, we use lasers and ozone to fumigate these microbes. And this is key because traditional dental tools that dentists or hygienists use are not very effective against these pathogens in the mouth. Thus, by using a laser and fumigating with ozone, we can effectively decrease this pathogenic load of bacteria. Additionally, by taking it a step further, by adding other adjunctive modalities like what you do, Tammy, body talk, and nutritional support, when we combine that with laser treatment and ozone, we help the body's innate ability to kick in, and thus the patient can actually prevent and avoid getting painful gum surgery and extractions.
Can you touch on the oral systemic link? I think this is important for people to know about and understand.
Sure. The oral systemic link is not a holistic term. It's a mainstream medicine term. If you Google oral systemic connection, you'll see thousands of research articles written over like probably 2 decades that shows that these oral infections can spread throughout the body. And what they do is they're creating systemic inflammation and affecting the power of our immune system. And so these oral infections, like other infections in the body, have a direct effect on people getting heart disease, breast cancer, uncontrolled diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, and many autoimmune diseases, such as like celiac disease and rheumatoid arthritis. So the key takeaway point is that the gut and the mouth are connected. They are the same tube. And if you're presently working to eliminate hidden infections in the body, like with your own doctor, you can't ignore the possibility of having undiagnosed infection in the mouth. So therefore, it's imperative to have this oral microbial assessment.
All right, so give us an example of someone who maybe who you thought would have like a really active slide, and then it turns out that it was a healthy slide. But yet, give us some kind of idea of what else could be going on besides infection.
Okay. Well, obviously everyone's situation is different. And when a patient comes to us, we don't open up the cookbook and say, oh, you have this, everyone gets the same treatment. No, everyone gets the treatment that they need based on what their situation is at that moment. Which is why what we see clinically is not always the cause of the problem. Which is why it's so important that we first test each patient. And I remember early in my career, I just started doing microbial assessments, looking for bacteria under the gums for my patients. And this middle-aged, young, frail woman comes in for a consultation, and she's very upset. And she was told by her previous dentist that she has to extract all of her teeth and get implants. So she was basically being treated like a machine. Sound familiar? So her gums were extremely swollen, and all her very clean teeth were loose as they were about to fall out of her mouth. And I was shocked because her home care was excellent, and you would expect that she would have no problems. But I was excited. I was positive with all this bone loss and destruction in her mouth that she must have a massive undiagnosed infection. But to my surprise, after I did my microbial test, I discovered she had no pathogenic bacteria at all. So, what do we do? So after further discussion, we concluded she had some nutritional deficiencies. And That's why these tests are so important, because now you can have a different conversation with the patient, because just going, she was having cleaning after cleaning after cleaning, but they were cleaning away nothing because she had no infection. It was purely a nutritional deficiency. So what did we do? We treated her like a whole organism. We followed the laws of nature. We gave the body what was missing, and then her own body's innate ability kicked in, and her mouth healed without losing a single tooth. So what I have also discovered to, how do you say it? To maximize any healing modality, your mental and emotional health is imperative, which is why I call Tammy my secret weapon. She has not only pulled me personally out of the abyss many times, but has helped me be more effective in getting my patients well with her emotional techniques. So Tammy, with the time we have left, and please don't rush, I want to hear everything you have to say here. Please add to our conversation to help maximize our listeners' health and help bring them to greatness.
Thank you, Dr. Winnick. I think everyone knows that stress does affect the resilience of our immune system. So some of the things I'm about to touch on is specifically to help you bring awareness into your life right now so that you can start to witness yourself. And if you could all just take a breath for a moment, I want to acknowledge whatever emotions any of you may be feeling. I know that there is a great load of fear, but I think under that fear, there's actually a lot of grief. I think people are grieving and they're feeling loss. I also know some of my clients are angry, and there is a mixture of sadness and joy. And some of the moms that I've spoken to are feeling really frustrated and guilty about how they're dealing with their children during this time. So if you could all let the acknowledgement of your emotions and what you're feeling land inside of you and allow them to be there without judgment, and also allow those emotions without judgment for the people that you're living with. Because now that you're home, you're going to experience yourself, you're going to experience your children, the people that you may be living with on many different levels. So I want to just touch base on these levels. Dr. Winnick, if you could put those levels up, it will help them, the slide.
Sure.
So I'm witnessing these, not just in myself, but in my clients. And I want you to think of these as developments or challenges, because these, whether you know it or not, are occurring inside of you individually and also collectively. Emotional stamina. You know, a lot of people are actually developing this. They're getting more stamina from their emotions. They're sustaining themselves emotionally. And then I have a fair amount of clients who are very challenged, maybe because they are depressed. So emotional stamina is the first one. The second one is physical endurance. This is interesting because if you're challenged by this, you're probably feeling lazy, unmotivated, and kind of in a slump. And then we have the developmental stage where you're actually exercising more because maybe you're home and you have more time. So physical endurance is an important one. And then we move into grounding. Grounding is about feeling safe, feeling secure, and also feeling supported in your space and where you're at. I know one of the things that has helped me is my living room is what I call my nest, and my bedroom is my cave. And I shift between grounding in either space that I'm in. And I think it's important for you, especially if you're the woman or the man of the house, to find your center so that you can reflect that to your children, so that they feel that safe space. Energetic boundaries. This is a big one. Energetic boundaries for yourself, for your children, and for your space. You need to have boundaries around how much TV you're watching, how much you're actually plugged in. Also, how much time you set aside for yourself, for your family. And this is a good time to work with your children and teach them how to develop these boundaries. Learning and advancing, again, a development or a challenge. I have clients who are brain fogged, they can't focus, they can't get to that stage of, advancing right now. And then other people are like, oh, they're excited that they actually have this time to dig into all the books that are on their bookshelf and go back and look at the projects they wanted to get done. So there's a restructuring happening in this stage. And finally, there is surrendering. Look, you have to surrender. You need to let go of some of your control and know that life is going to change when we come out of this. It's going to be forever different. So your belief, your trust, and your faith, these are paramount to shifting through this. So I just want you to be aware of these and know that you are probably shifting through these as well as the people that you love. And I want you to just understand, this brings me back to emotions and the consequence of not processing your emotions. It leads to depletion. It leads to a weakened immune system. And it literally affects you physically. So people don't really understand that emotions have to process and they have to digest. Well, emotions are released in the moment verbally. That's one way of expressing yourself. Emotions are released through movement, whether it's exercise, dancing, sex, or punching a punching bag. Those are all physical ways of processing emotions. And then lastly, we have digestion, and it literally means digesting the emotion, processing it through your system. So you actually have a bowel movement, and that emotional energy leaves. The large intestine has the consciousness of release, but also holding. So if emotions aren't being processed, you could be constipated if you're holding too much. And then the opposite is true. If you're running to the bathroom all the time, that's someone who can't really hold on and process the lessons that they need to process. It's basically like digesting life. So all of those are important, and I do have some solutions. The gift actually that I'm giving for signing up for this webinar is a good start. You can listen to the meditation. It does have some Tibetan sound healing effects, which are really clearing for your emotional field. But if you can't sit with yourself and listen, then you can speak the words, because your voice has your own energetic signature. So when you're speaking positive words of affirmation, your cells are vibrating in that positive energy, and it does start to make shifts. So these are tools you can try. Also, I have many clients doing, oh, you want to ask a question?
Yeah. So you're going to send them the meditation, plus you're going to also send it to them in a written form so they can.
Yeah, there will be a hyperlink so they can download both of them.
That's great. I just want to get clarity on that.
Yes. And then I do have many clients that I'm working with by phone. We are doing body talk sessions. Body talk is a way to focus your mind, clear out your emotions, come to a new starting point. And how that's all done is it's actually done by tapping into your body's unique message for you. It's not a cookie cutter process. It is truly the messages that are hidden inside of your subconscious that need to come out, that you need for navigation in this physical world. So I just think, here, people say, well, what is body talk? It's hard to grasp, but I'll give you just a quick visual. So Dr. Winnick, I'm going to use you as an example. Well, Dr. Winnick is like a bull. He's like a health machine, And he had something called angular cheilitis. That's like this little fungus in the corners of your mouth. Anyway, he had it for like a month. This was a while ago. And he was hitting it with everything. Detoxing, essential oils, colloidal silver. I mean, homeopathy, you name it. And one day I was like, why don't we just do a body talk session on it? So I tapped into what was going on in his body, and without giving too much details, it was an emotional issue, and it was something that was stuck and needed to be released verbally, which is why I think it manifested in the mouth. So we released it.
Yeah, well, thank you for talking about me in front of me. I appreciate that. So having angular colitis as a dentist is not a lot of fun. It's not fun for anybody, but she's really just touching on the surface of what this woman has done for me. Because number one, I always wanted to do public speaking when I was a young dentist, and I never did because I was always so afraid of doing public speaking. Even the idea of doing this kind of webinar would never happen. So Tammy actually did body talk on me to get rid of my fears for doing public speaking. And she's also worked closely with my family on specific occasions. I'd say, can you do this for me, for them? And it came out wonderful. But there's so many times when I've had issues. And I'm not saying I'm an emotional wreck, because I'm really not. But I just know if I get something wrong with me and I can't get rid of it in a day or two, then I know there's an emotional piece to it. And I just call on Tammy, and she just basically taps it out. It's that great. But I hear so many stories about her clients who, that she sees, but she does things that are really special. She helps like businessmen write business plans. So she has some kind of innate gift that she uses along with body talk. And she's just so valuable to me. So I want to thank you, Tammy, in public, for being such a big part of my life and helping me help everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so let me just change the slide here. And what I want to do is just, our hope is that this information could create a breakthrough and give you peace of mind. And my question is, what if you don't follow these ideas? What would happen if you don't do what we're talking about? You have to think about that, because these are potentially pieces of the puzzle to keep yourself and your loved ones healthy during these unsettling times. And as we discussed, there are ways to create a tremendous shift in your health. So I put up here a slide. I hope you can see it. It's just how to contact Dr. Robbins. You can either email him at drhowardrobbins@gmail.com, or you can call him in his office at 212-581-0101. And you can contact me in the office. What I'm going to do is I'm going to offer everybody who's registered for this webinar a complimentary oral microbial assessment, which I'll go through with them, and we can discuss the findings right there and then. My phone number is 212-973-9425. If you want to look at the website, it's TFHNY.com. We also find that using a water irrigator is really powerful for helping with these underlying infections. We recommend the HydroFloss. It's a magnetic water irrigator. It's supposed to be more effective than the traditional water irrigators. And if you go to hydrofloss.com and you go purchase it, if you use our code, which is 14031, you can get some kind of discount from them. If you're looking to do a more detailed microbial assessment, there's a company called Oral DNA, and their website is oraldna.com. And if you're going to reach, if you want to reach Tammy, you can schedule a remote body talk session by phone. You can reach her at 917-743-3777. 3767. You can text or call her. Her website is thermographyny.com. And of course, she mentioned the Hold Your Light meditation, which everybody will be receiving in audio and transcribed, which I think is excellent. Um,
Winnick,
yeah,
to say something too. What we've been doing initially was just for old patients. Now we're offering it to anybody, old patients, family, friends, and new people. If they want to come in and just get what I call a mini consult and an immune boosting group of sessions with Ozone that hopefully will make them more coronavirus bulletproof. There's no such thing as 100%, but this will get them closer to it. We have a special offer if they just say they heard us on this and they want to come in and get the special offer for coronavirus. They can come in and get a major discount on our normal fees, and they can tell this to anybody else they want to. And also, I'll throw something else out. If they want to get that Doctor's Biome, and they go to doctorsbiome.com, DOCTORSBIOME, biome.com. I'm going to tell them they can use a special coupon code at checkout because it's not an inexpensive product. Nothing good is cheap and nothing cheap is good. But if they use Winnick24, that's your last name, WINICK 24, they'll get $35 off the price. They'll save a lot of money, and it'll be much more affordable for the listeners here.
that's great, Howard. I appreciate that.
Thank
And
you.
and thanks for spelling my name correctly. You know, everyone, you need to, you have to understand, you allowing us to be part of your lives is it's so important to us. Being able to communicate our life experiences to you is also so important to us. You know, and I recall when I finally cured myself of Crohn's disease and I was leading a healthy life, you know, my mom's friend calls me up to discuss her son. And her son had Crohn's disease, and it seems like he was going down the same road I was going down. And I spoke to her for a while, which I do with most people that call me up, you know, asking how I cured myself of Crohn's disease. And I told her everything I was doing. And they could have flown around the world twice. These people had a lot of financial means. So money was not an issue. And, you know, we finished the conversation. I gave her all the right information, what to do. And years later, I asked my mom, what happened to so-and-so's son? And she said that he died. And personally, I didn't know you can die from Crohn's disease. You know, I just figured I had it, of suffering, and life sucked. I didn't know it was that serious of a disease. So I was very, you know, shocked to find out what happened to her son. So the reason why we spend so much time trying to educate our patients and our friends and our family is that my hope is to really help motivate and inspire people to listen to what we say and then to take action. Because these words that you're hearing from me and Tammy and Dr. Robbins mean nothing. If you take action, I promise you'll achieve optimal wellness. And that's what I try to do through my sustainable dentistry practice.
Yeah, Dr. Winnick, thank you for telling us that story. What gets me most in my heart is suffering. So everything I do, whether it's in my daily work or my workshops and seminars, it's all geared towards alleviating suffering.
And let's just take the next few minutes, I want to just do a brief recap of the of what we discussed today. So I think we should just all read our own stuff here. Dr. Robbins, can you see your slide?
Hold on.
If not, I can read it for you.
Questions on the people that are on chat. They wanted to know, yes, this is ozone's being used now in 17 hospitals in Italy successfully. Unfortunately, 10,000 people had to die before they let it in. We're trying to get it into the hospitals here. The key is prevention. Both of us practice, all three of us practice prevention. Unfortunately, people wait until they're in a crisis situation, and we can't take you in for treatment once you're seriously ill and contagious with the infection. We can take you in at the end of the infection when you're not contagious anymore, and thus help you get over all the residual effects of it, which seem to be very severe. You know, the tightness in the chest, the shortness of the breath, the fatigue, and all the other effects of the coronavirus. But the key is to prevent it in the first place or minimize the effects. And that's why getting in preemptively is the key. If people came to you preemptively for dentistry, they wouldn't have to have all their teeth removed and all the root canal, all those root canals and all the problems associated with them and everything. And that makes up most of our practice. The key is always prevention and listening to what's being said today. If you take it to heart and take action, not just sit back and listen and file it away, but take action on it. As I agree with you completely, your lives will change. I promise you, everybody, your lives will change.
Thank you. Well, you're right, Dr. Robbins. The best way to treat any disease is not to get it. You know, I see there's a bunch of questions from people also asking for your doctor's biome website. You want to give that out?
Again, it's Doctor's Biome, DoctorsBiome.com, doctorsbiome.com. Or, and remember, you put in the code, you'll get a big savings off the cost of it, which I think is important. We're all New Yorkers, and nobody wants to buy retail here. We're used to something off, and that's the way we do things.
Okay, and I want to remind people your suggestions for daily health was by hydrating with 3 to 4 liters of water daily, taking a dose of vitamin C orally 5 to 6 times per day, and using Doctor's Biome. Oh, and that discount code is WINIC24. So take this stuff daily, and you can help prevent yourself from getting this or any other virus, as well as treating it. My recap points are really hidden gum and tooth infections create systemic inflammation, which affects your immune system and increases your ability to get disease. Fact. If you are presently working to eliminate hidden infections in your body with a doctor, you must realize the gut and the mouth are connected. You can't ignore the possibility of having an undiagnosed infection in the mouth. Therefore, it is imperative to have an oral microbial assessment. Fact. Also, please, if you're using alcohol-based mouthwashes, they should be avoided, because these mouthwashes actually kill the needed healthy bacteria that's in your mouth that produces something called nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is helps improve vascular integrity for all your capillaries throughout your entire body. So please use a more herbally based benign mouthwash. Tammy, you want to read your stuff?
Yeah. Please remember to be kind to yourself. Be gentle. Witness yourself in your development and your challenges without judgment. Just allow these to happen. Your emotional stamina, your physical endurance, grounding, your energetic boundaries, learning and advancement, and surrender with belief, trust, and faith. And listen to the meditation or speak the words so that you have connection and centering.
Excellent. Thank you, Tammy. Um, Dr. Robbins, there's another question from someone, and they're asking, what vitamin C do you recommend?
You know, we sell it at cost in my office. You want a quality vitamin C. Liposomal Cs are supposed to be very bioabsorbable, bioutilizable, and bioavailable. There's powdered vitamin Cs from quality companies like Orthomolecular and whatnot that are highly buffered, so you can take larger doses with water and for people who can't swallow pills or capsules. The key is to get a quality vitamin C, not one that's corn-based, which is usually cheap, or highly acidic. You don't want these highly acidic ones. They just irritate the heck out of the stomach, and they rob the enamel off your teeth as well. We also, by the way, do intravenous vitamin C in our office in a very affordable fees. Someone asked the question about that because they are using it to treat COVID-19 in China, which we've been very on top of through our connections in China. And oral vitamin C, I told you, is the way to go for everybody. And then, of course, you can get IV vitamin C if you go to offices. We just, at the Healing Center in Manhattan, we just charge more fees that are more affordable for people, fairer fees.
Excellent. I see somebody in the chat is saying that the code I gave for the HydroFloss is incorrect. So what I'll do is we're going to do a follow-up email to everybody with the information that the contact information. So I'll put the correct code in the email that we send you. If not, just give the office a phone call at 212-973-9425, and we'll help you get that code.
And by the way, for those of you that have questions, I spend much of my time, my wife is going to hate me for this, but I spend a lot of time on my cell phone. No one can come in without speaking to me first. If you're interested, that's our rule. Don't want to waste anyone's time, including my own. Call me on my cell phone if you're not seeing what I just posted on the chat. 516-967-1009. 516-967-1009. Leave a message. I promise I return every missed phone call.
Yeah, another question here, Dr. Robbins. They were asking about, they put out EVB.
Yeah, I think they mean Epstein-Barr.
Yeah, I think they need EBV. Are you affected with that?
Son, mononucleosis mono is really the Epstein-Barr virus, which is actually a form of herpes virus. And we've had nothing but success fighting and eliminating herpes viruses from the body with ozone therapy worldwide.
Excellent. Someone's also asking about treating sensory neurohearing loss.
Depends on what the cause of it is. If it's from an accident where there's physical damage, ozone therapy may not work. It does stimulate the body to make abundant amounts of natural stem cells. And what's amazing is it comes with virtually no adverse effects. In 30 years and over 350,000 treatments, only 9 patients developed what I called a temporary rash, so I stopped treating them because New York State won't allow me to harm one person with this, or they'll put me out of business. And only 2 of them had a true, what I would call allergic reaction. It was pretty amazing when you consider the thousands upon thousands of people we've treated and the hundreds of thousands of treatments done to have almost no negative effects, and only positive side effects, including that stem cell production, which may account for why we might fix those things. That patient, that person listening, just call me so we can discuss it at greater length. I don't want to take up too much time for whatever time we have left on this.
Dr. Robbins, how effective is kefir as an alternative to Dr. Biome?
Okay, well, there's the problem with what you have out there. Kefir has living bacteria, so does yogurts, and as well as, but there you're dealing with dairy, and some people are dairy sensitive. But the worst part is they don't have a wide range of bacterias that can do anything more than aid digestion. And aiding digestion is not what we're interested in. We need to put the bacteria back into the wall of the colon. So kefir and yogurt and kombucha all aid digestion. They're very able to do that, but they can't get the yeast in balance again. And that's what the doctor's biome was designed to do. It was originally designed solely just for hospitals and doctor use to treat Clostridium difficile, which many of the people don't know that are listening, and some do. A major problem that kills 28 to 30,000 people every year from the use, taking antibiotics, from the use of antibiotics, causing another bacteria that isn't easily killed by antibiotics to overgrow, and they die from the effects of diarrhea and whatnot on their body. So that's what Doctor's Biome was developed for, to work in hospitals and through doctors' offices to treat these serious intestinal diseases like Crohn's and irritable bowel and leaky gut, etc. Not just to aid digestion like those other things.
Thank you for that. Dr. Winnick, someone was asking, that patient you were talking about with the loose teeth and no infection, they asked how was she treated nutritionally? What was her deficiency?
She was deficient. I would say the main thing was she was deficient in protein.
Protein. Okay.
Yeah.
What
and,
was?
and like I said earlier, everybody is different, so she wasn't constipated, but if she was constipated, we'd be working on that also with the nutritionist. So it's not just one thing to do. And then the question is, well, what proteins do you use? So that's where we spend the time really digging deep and drilling down with our patients and getting a lot of specific detail so that we can give them a customized treatment options. Dr. Robbins, somebody was saying in New York and in China, they're using IV vitamin C treatment successfully. How would that compare to doing ozone treatment?
Well, it's not about a comparison. That's one of the reasons why Dr. Rowan and I started watching this. And by the way, I failed to mention, it just hit me now, but 5 weeks ago now, in the Journal of Infectious Diseases and Epidemiology, they published our paper showing why intravenous ozone therapy will be effective against the COVID virus. So we're published in it as well right now in a peer-reviewed medical journal, the Journal of Infectious Diseases and Epidemiology. And we know that vitamin C will strengthen the immune system. And that's why they finally started using it in China. And we've been using it, I've been using it with all my patients the way we described earlier, because of those very same reasons.
Excellent. Someone is asking, they have an infected root canal but do not want to get it treated during the pandemic. Is there something specific I should do to try to contain the infection? Well, quick answer is I'd be happy to discuss this with you because I would need more details. So call me on my cell phone, 917-559-3417. The longer answer is, we discussed earlier how a compromised immune system sets you up for all these other viruses and potential problems. So if you're walking around with an infection, what are you doing? You're lowering your immune system and making you more susceptible to getting a disease, no matter what the disease is. So there's a point in time where what we do as dentists is we're essential. And if you have an infected root canal, this might be a good time to come in if that's something that you want to address. I hope that answers your question.
And I see someone asking about like hair loss. The one thing I can say about Dr. Howard is he's 72 years old and he has the most amazing head of hair I've ever seen on a man of his age. It's also not gray. It's still dark brown, almost his natural color. And I would say that would be the antioxidant effects of the ozone.
And also, you got to realize all cells require energy to do their job and stay alive. If they're just getting enough energy to stay alive, they won't be able to do their job effectively. then ozone has circulation benefits. It makes the red blood cells rounder so they flow smoother, easier, and less viscous, and more flexible to slip through narrowed, clogged, and hardened arteries better. So once you get a better delivery system of your blood to your hair cells, you're getting more oxygen to your hair cells, which are required by the mitochondria in the cells to produce energy, and you're eating the right and ingesting the right nutrients. That's what makes the right energy for the cells, so that my hair is, unlike everyone else in my family, staying, growing well and staying dark and a full head of it. And this could and does work. Many of our patients who are going bald start to notice, once they're doing the therapies, they start to get some hair growth again. So that's one of the beneficial side effects of IV ozone therapy, the way we do it.
Great.
Quick point. The doctor's biome is suitable for children?
Oh, it's delicious.
It is delicious.
Yeah, I use it, and it's easy to take, and it does taste good. So
It's growing in a 100% organic mint, kale, lettuce, cucumber, celery, apple, lemon juice. Kids love it. It's absolutely wonderful, and they don't have to swallow pills, so they're so happy to take it.
What's the criteria to come in for an ozone therapy if you're not really sure, like what you're going in for? I can just say from my own experience, when this pandemic all started, I started going for ozone injections immediately, only because I knew I would be with the public. We're still here at the office working on emergency patients. So for me, it was preventative. And I've had a long history with Epstein-Barr. So that's why I'm doing it.
Well, I wish I could have everybody coming in for prevention. Unfortunately, less than 3% of the people come in for prevention. Unfortunately, again, medicine, we're all trained to be controlled by the insurance companies. And if insurance doesn't cover something, well, we're not interested in doing it, because that's the only way we want to be helped, because people don't necessarily want to prevent their problems with their non-reimbursable dollars. Unfortunately, insurance doesn't take out-of-the-box therapies. They don't even want to cover and pay for traditional therapies if you've tried to get and notice the problems you may have been having over the years. So when people ask me, do you take insurance? My answer is no, insurance doesn't take us.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate thing. One day, we're working on this. We actually have a study being paid for by the Global Lyme Alliance on Lyme disease. This is an organization that raises money for Lyme research. And what they're doing right now is they put up $1.25 million to do a research study, and it's now being done. Well, actually, it's on hold right now, but it's being done at Tufts University Medical School Research Department to show that my method of ozone therapy is effective against Lyme disease. When the study gets published, this could turn this where doctors around the country will start to begin to use ozone therapy to treat Lyme disease as effectively as I have for the last 25, 30 years. And with that, this could start to make it standard of care medicine, because doctors are naturally going to start to try to treat other things with it as well. And eventually that will get published. And once you're published in these things, which I have been now, and others, and more so in this country, by making this standard of care medicine, then insurance companies will be forced to have to pay for it.
Dr. Robbins, how many injections do you start with, and how much does it cost?
Oh, well, first of all, there is no set number of anything to treat anybody for anything. For the COVID virus, I believe to prevent it, if a patient came in and got a half a dozen treatments, that should be enough medicine to strengthen their immune system. Then if they wake up one day and they just don't feel right, and they come in on that day, it doesn't matter what they're coming down with, their chances are close to zero of coming down with it, because now they're a current patient and we can get them right in for a treatment. So that's that's the best way to do it, and that's at a minimal cost. For patients with diseases and illness, unfortunately, there is no average, typical, or usual number of treatments to get rid of anything in anybody. I've had amazing ozone miracles, as I call them, with less than 20 treatments, and problems they faced for years are gone. Then there are patients, thank God, this is very rare too, where they need hundreds of treatments to get rid of a problem. But the good news is, by the time they've done a couple of dozen treatments, even in very long-standing resistant diseases and conditions, they're already noticing benefits. They look in the mirror and go, oh my God, thank God, finally something is working. I mean, ozone therapy, Gary Knoll did a documentary called Ozone Therapy, the Miracle Medicine. He sells it on his website. You can't get it anywhere else, at GaryKnoll.com. But ozone therapy, the miracle medicine, has myself and other doctors in it. You learn all about it from A to Z. You see a couple of video clips showing what the basic procedure looks like. And there's about 50 of my patients on there that told their story on how we got rid of their problems from oh, wow. I mean, the whole range of things. You'll be amazed, impressed, and if they weren't telling it to you, you'd find it hard to believe that it has such a versatility and beneficial effect.
How much do the six injections, let's say, doing once a week, how much does that cost?
Well, whatever number of times they're going to do it, we're doing a package for the coronavirus people fearful because of the way the media has created this fear in everyone's minds. But it's a small consultation to get started, which is required by law, and then a consent form signed, and 6 treatments for $7.95. It's a significant savings over what we normally charge people, even though I'm the lowest fee charger for this in all of North America.
Right. And let me just say that it's, even if you, whatever you have, ozone is ozone. So it's going to treat whatever your body needs it to treat. It's not like it's specific for COVID. It's just across the board, correct?
And we do practice very, very safe practices in our office. When you come in, you got to wash your hands. You got to put on a mask. We have masks for patients if they don't have it when they come in. We don't crowd the office. Even though it's probably the safest place in all of New York State to be in at this point in time.
Because the air is ozonated. So just to clarify, they get a consultation and they get 6 injections, and that is $7.95?
Yes, it's a $350 reduction in fee. I took off a big chunk to make it affordable for people.
He's right when he says his prices are very fair compared to what other practitioners would be charging for this therapy. Tammy and I are patients, and we don't have any specific issues that we're worried about. However, we go, I would say, twice a week. And we go twice a week because when I go, I feel like I have a force field around my body. And it just gives me peace of mind that when I do enter my office and I do go home, I'm staying safe for myself and my kids and my wife. So that's how we manage it. And I can just tell you that the nurse practitioners working there are excellent, they're professional, and the experience has always been positive for me, which is why I wanted to have Dr. Robbins with us on this webinar.
Yeah, Dr. Robbins, another question. If they're not in the city and they can't find anyone who does ozone in their area, what do you think about rectal insulfation?
Okay, so they can go to a company called PromoLife, PromoLife, promolife.com. I don't have any deal. I don't get anything back for this. I can't give you a discount code or anything else. Promolife.com. Tell them that you heard me, so that they'll treat you very well that way. And that's the way, and they'll sell you a home care unit. Tell them Dr. Robbins just wants you to set me up for home care. Rectal insufflation is an ozone enema. You actually can absorb some ozone through your colon and does have a beneficial effect. For the coronavirus, in terms of I can't get IV, which is way superior though, anywhere else, that would be the ideal way to go. Thanks for reminding me, Tammy. That's important. Rectal insufflation, ozone enema. You can make ozonated water to drink from it. Irrigate your mouth, which would be very good with that as well. There's a bunch of uses that you'll be able to put the machine through, and they set you up so your whole family can do it, and that would be helpful, very helpful.
Dr. Winnick, a question for you and also myself. As a hygienist, one of your patients is concerned about missing their cleanings, and how do they make sure that they don't run into issues by going longer in between cleanings? Make sure you have our doTERRA On Guard essential oil at home. If you don't have it, contact me. I can order it for you and get it shipped to you. Because that's an amazing antimicrobial across the board. You can rinse with it. We also have our Clean Kiss mouthwash that you would want to put in your irrigator. And please, I'm speaking to those of you that can't get your schedule straight, or you feel you're in the dumps and you're just not brushing your teeth because who cares, right? Please brush your teeth and use your irrigator. Find that inside of you. I'm speaking of this because I know some people who are really suffering. Some of you are doing fine, and I'm happy for that. But for those of you that are in the doldrums with this, do not let your oral care go.
Thank you, Tammy. Very important. And and you have so much free time. Spend 4 minutes brushing. They say now 2 minutes is enough. Spend 4 minutes and think of not brushing your teeth, but cleaning your teeth. And that will definitely help you extend the time period before you can come in. Unfortunately, my hygienists aren't working until we get they give us the approval for them to come back. But I agree with you. It's so important to make sure you're controlling those microbes under the gums.
Yeah.
Very impressed with how many people love you, Tammy. It's obvious that the work you do is special.
Oh, thank you. I love my people.
In mind, I don't know if the listeners realize this, but it's been I learned this many years ago. 60% or more of all healing takes place on a spiritual plane.
Thank you.
If you're not healthy spiritually, everything else that we're talking about is not going to be as nearly effective as it can be.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We need to be on all those levels: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual.
Yep, 100%. So let me just see if there's any other questions that you guys seeing here.
Oil pulling. Daisy, one of my girls, she's talking about remember to use coconut oil and oil pulling with your essential oils as well. And she's reminding us to spit it in our trash bag. Yes, do not spit your oil pulling contents in your sink.
Daisy is on it.
She's on it.
Yep. Okay. Well, listen. First of all, I want to thank everybody for being with us on this call, and we appreciate all your kind words. You guys are awesome, and we can't really do what we do without you guys. I want to thank Tammy for helping me put this together and being such a big part of what we're trying to deliver to our patients. And Howard, thank you. I know you're very busy. Howard's office is open.
Yeah, where are you, Howard? Where in the city? Tell us.
We're right by Carnegie Hall, 200 West 57th Street. When they call the office at 212-581-0101, they go over all those details. Just make sure you mention you heard this on here, you want to come in for that COVID special, and we can get you started right away. We work differently than most Manhattan doctors. We'll get you in quickly.
Okay. Any final words from anyone?
Listen, everybody stay safe. Be sensible. Don't do things that are ridiculous or foolish. Let's get rid of this problem for the time being, at least. and at least we won't have to worry about it, and we can start to try to repair our lives and our economy.
Excellent. Well said. Okay. Thank you, everybody. And we are going to end the meeting right now. Have a great, safe day.
So
Love
long.
and light. Love and light. Love and light.